Alrighty, folks, looks like we are live. I'm George, one of the co-founders of SoloSuit. We're going to be helping you respond to your lawsuit today. We're talking about how to respond and then also get the lawsuit settled. Alright, if the audio and visuals are good to go, let's go ahead and go forward. If there's any problem, if you can't hear me, let me know in the chat. I think we should be good to go here. Great. So we usually will just go over some of the basics on how to resolve a debt lawsuit for the first few minutes of this webinar. Then we reserve most of the time for Q&A. So if you have any questions, just go ahead and put those into the chat. We have a lot of people on the webinar today, so you want to make sure you get those into the chat quick. And we'll do our best to get to those to answer your questions. All right, let's just go over some of the basics. So to respond to a debt lawsuit, you're going to want to file, you're going to need to create an answer document and then file that in court. All right, so you'll receive the complaint and summons or the citation and petition that begin the lawsuit. Then you need to file a response document called an answer document, a capital A answer, to get that into court. So let me go ahead and see if I can't walk you through the website real quick. Let me just pull some things up on my computer. If you want to let us know what state you're calling in from, just go ahead and put that into the chat too. We'd love to hear where you are watching this show from. So you can just put that into the chat. I'm in Utah myself. I'd love to hear where you guys are from. Alrighty. So this is our website. You can go on and then you just want to click reply to a debt lawsuit if you've been sued. You'll see that we have a 100% money back guarantee. We got 4.7 stars, 500 reviews. We've been mentioned by Fast Company and NPR, so some great media outlets are aware of SoloSuit and have spoken well about us. And then, let's see. Let's take a look at a couple of the reviews here. Give me just 1 second. Let's see. All right, so you're going to click reply to a debt lawsuit, and then let's take a look at a couple of the reviews. We got Bruce Norvell. As you can probably understand, this is a very nerve-wracking position. Coming upon SoloSuit and watching their videos, I decided to take a leap since I'm self-represented. The process is very easy and has taken some anxiety away. Thanks, SoloSuit. Yep, glad to help you out, Bruce. Got a nice review from Mac. It was very simple to do with no fee. I'm comfortable with my answers and information, a little uncertain, but I want to print the document, review it, and research a little more about my situation. At that point, I will decide if I should utilize some of the other options. It was painless, easy to follow the instructions, and simple for someone not versed in how to handle it. Another review from Ethan. They make the process pretty easy. Would recommend. Thanks, Ethan. Glad we could help you out there. All right, so you're going to go ahead and click Get Started. Then you'll just make an account real quick. You just got to enter in your email. All right, so I'm just going to make a little test account. All right, and then once you get in there, it's gonna ask you to confirm your email. You can go in and to your email account and just confirm it, or you can just click continue. you're going to select the state that you are in. I'm in Utah. And then from there, you're going to choose a package that you want to show people, or that you want to use. Some of the main things here are, right, so you'll get a PDF download at the end of the process. You'll be able to download your document as PDF. We will calculate the filing fee for you. So if there's a filing fee in your court, we'll make sure that's calculated. And then we'll file a document for you. Also, for the premium package, we'll have an attorney review the document, make sure that everything's good to go. All right, so then once you do that, you'll want to come over and make an offer to settle. Most people want to settle the case, not everybody. Maybe you don't want to settle, maybe you're being wrongfully sued. But if not, you want to settle. So you'll come in and click Learn More here, and you can make an offer. It's free to make an offer on SoloSettle. You'll just do some of the same things here. Enter in your info, tell us more about the case again. Then you'll tell us how much the lawsuit is for, what you're being, and what amount you can make as an offer. Also, you can choose if you want to make a monthly payment plan, or if you want to do a lump sum settlement offer, and on what day you can start making payments on. So those are all things that you can choose. Let me just actually show you that. So you're going to get the actual information off of your real complaint here. Now you're going to enter the case number. You're going to type your address. Alrighty. And then you will select your birth date. So we need to know your birth date because the collector is going to require that to verify your identity. We also just get the last 4 numbers of your social security code. And then you're going to tell us how much you're being sued for. And then here is the fun part. So you'll make an offer to the collector to settle. So you can choose a lump sum or a monthly payment plan. If you do a lump sum, you're just going to enter in how much you want to pay as a lump sum. So like how much you want to pay altogether to settle this debt. Then you're going to choose a payment date. You'll see that today's April 10th, but the first payment date is April 18th. That's because we need to allow for time to settle. Usually takes at least a week for the for everything to settle. For like the collector to send you the agreement, for you to sign it, etc. So earliest possible date is the 18th. If you did a monthly payment plan, you can enter that same amount, choose the same date, then you're just going to tell us how much you want to pay monthly. Let's say you want to pay $100 a month. So that will then break out into 30 payments, right? So then we calculate all this information for you, right? Tell you how much you're being sued for, what the settlement amount is, how much you'll save when you settle, and then you're going to pay this over 30 payments, $100 a month. All right, so that's like the general idea. And then when you click submit, that offer is going to go right to the collector immediately, and then they'll be able to respond to it. Okay. So again, that's free to make an offer. So pretty great deal. All right, so that's one of the best ways to get your case settled. So you can just go over there and make an offer to settle. All right, well, let's go ahead and get into your questions, whatever those might be. Happy to answer your questions today. Let's take a little look at them. Alrighty. So We got a question from Alexandra. I went to court and the plaintiff and I ended up dismissing without prejudice. How long can they pursue collections against me? All right, so if the case has been dismissed with prejudice, then that means that they wouldn't be able to sue you again for the same debt. If it's dismissed without prejudice, then that means that they can sue you again, right? And they probably will. Oftentimes they will sue you again. They might wait a while. They might file immediately. I don't think generally there's really much limitation on when they can sue you again for it, other than like the statute of limitations can't be expired. They can also try to continue to collect outside of court even after it's been dismissed without prejudice. Even if it's dismissed with prejudice, they can oftentimes try to collect on the debt outside of court still. All right. So with or without, ultimately you'd like it to be with prejudice. That's a little bit better for you, but oftentimes it just gets dismissed without prejudice, and likely that they will see you again. You can use this to respond again. Maybe it'll get dismissed again, right? But ultimately the nicest way to fully wrap up a debt and make sure that they don't come after you again is to get it settled. If you owe any portion of the debt, really the way to get it wrapped up is to settle. All right, another question from Zeus. I ended up having a settlement with PRA and I received a CM 200 through the mail. It says the settlement is conditional. Is there anything I can have to do for this? Anything I have to do for this? So you settled with PRA, and you got a CM 200 in the mail. You know, I'm not familiar with a CM 200. Let me just see if I can't look that up real quick. Then maybe I'll come back to that one. All right. Eli, I have a court date tomorrow. I was planning on taking my bank statements and paycheck stubs. Yeah, that's a great move, especially if they show that you've like paid off the entire debt, or if you've made payments on the debt that they aren't counting. That's a great move. Definitely want to bring those. You should probably make sure that they actually are like supporting your case. That's a good move. So a CM200, going back to that last question, is a notice of settlement of entire case. It looks like that's like the number of the form in California. They do have those little numbers on their forms. It's used to inform the court and the other party involved in a legal dispute that the case has been resolved through an agreement and will be dismissed. So that sounds like it's all in order then. It's saying it's conditional. Yeah, that's pretty standard. Usually they'll say it's conditional on you actually coming through with the payment. Sounds like everything's in line. Got a question from Crawford. Pennsylvania here. What's up in Pennsylvania? Hello. I'm being sued by American Express in New York. I'm trying to get to low cost / free representation, but it's tricky since I live in another state. What can I do to help myself? Yes, usually unfortunately, legal aid. Usually legal aid stuff isn't really a good option. In these kinds of cases, they really focus on other types of disputes for some reason. Honestly, I don't know why, because debt collection cases are the biggest category of cases in the U.S. Over 25% of all cases in state courts across the U.S. are for debt collection. It's the biggest category. Legal aid organizations, pro bono attorneys, they usually don't help with these for some reason, not sure why. I think perhaps because they wrongly think that the person deserves to be sued when they owe this debt. We disagree with that. You know, a lot of because of the power asymmetries between the consumer and the collector. A lot of people are getting wrongfully sued, and a lot of weird stuff's going on in the system. But usually, I mean, let us know if you have success with legal aid. In my experience, usually legal aid isn't fast enough to take on these cases, especially because of the deadline. They usually just aren't quick enough to help you respond. So that said, SoloSuit is very cheap. You can use our standard service, so $67. you'll be able to generate the document and then have us file the response for you in court. So that's the option that I would go with. All right, another question here from Red Top Rich. A couple of credit card companies have sold my debt to the third party. I haven't had any communications. How is the best way to proceed? Okay, so you know your debt's been sold, but you haven't heard from them yet, so you're not sure how to proceed. All right, so your debt has been sold to a debt buyer. All right, this is really common. Lots of debts are sold to debt buyers. The debt buyer is likely to sue you for the debt. About 30% of debt buyers' revenue usually comes from litigation, collecting through lawsuits. You're just wondering how to proceed. So you can proactively try to settle, so you can contact the debt buyer and try to make a settlement. Cases settle for less before lawsuits begin, so you can make an offer for, on average, pre-lawsuit debts settle for about 45%, so you can get huge savings. On average, lawsuit debts only settle for 85%. Right now, on SoloSuit on our platform, they actually settle for 71% of the debt. That's the average. Okay, the range is really big. So we're settling for a good number, more than 10% lower than the regular average. Right now you can't really make an offer for settling a pre-lawsuit debt on SoloSuit, but you can contact them directly and try to get it settled. You can also try using a debt settlement company. You can try getting a law firm to help you out. Usually they won't help. But you can try settling yourself, or you can just try paying off the debt. Right? Maybe you have income to just pay off the debt in full. You can try doing that as well. The thing is that, so a couple things to note here. Yeah, the debt buyer, as you may have seen online, the debt buyer probably bought the debt for only 4% of face value. That doesn't mean that they're going to settle anywhere close to the 4%. Right? They still only, on average, settle at 45% or at 71%. That's because they incur a lot of costs trying to collect, and also not everybody pays. So those are some things to think about when you're settling. All right, next question. We got Christopher in New Hampshire. What's up? We got Ellie said, I did use SoloSuit for submitting my answer. It was super easy, and she's in Illinois. What's up? Glad you had a good experience. Glad to hear it. All right, we got another question here from Shawnetta. Is there anything I can do after a summary judgment has been granted? Okay, so you got a summary judgment. So usually how cases go is you get the summons and complaint, and then you gotta file an answer to respond to that. That's what you can do with SoloSuit.com. And then hopefully from the answer you'll be able to settle. Right? You can do that with SoloSuit. Sometimes I'll file an answer and then you'll get a motion for summary judgment. Let's call that an MSJ. So that's unfortunate. I think it's pretty weird when courts grant motions for summary judgment after the person has answered, because a motion for summary judgment is basically saying that there's no dispute here, or at least there's no dispute worth having. Not that the plaintiff is like obviously right in this situation. So that's too bad. Oftentimes that's not the case, but in order to not have the motion for summary judgment granted, you need to file a counter motion and a memorandum or a memo supporting that counter motion, which maybe you didn't do, so the judge just granted the motion for summary judgment. After it's granted, you can file a motion to set aside judgment. It's not very likely to succeed. We do see it succeed when, so that's an MSA. It's more likely to succeed when you haven't filed an answer document and you get a default judgment against you. Then you can file a motion to set aside judgment, asking the judge to give you a chance to file an answer. In this case, with a motion for summary judgment, probably not much you can do to change the ruling. You can try settling. Settlements totally still happen. Collectors really want to settle. That is their ideal outcome. They would rather settle than win the lawsuit against you. Right? So the number one outcome is to settle. They will settle even after they have a written garnishment against you. So you can try making an offer for settling for the balance in full on like low monthly payments. Maybe that would be a good move for you. All right, got another question from DNS. I found out a lawsuit was filed against me and I haven't received the Duncans as yet, and it was filed on April 2nd. Does it take long for you to get a summons? I feel like I'm in limbo, just waiting. Okay, so you know there's a lawsuit against you. You haven't actually gotten the documents yet. Sounds like maybe you know that there's a lawsuit against you because you contacted the court or you looked online or something like that. If that's the case, you can proactively file a response, right? Maybe they just filed in court, but they aren't planning on serving you, or they think they did serve you, or they told the court they did serve you. You might want to just file a response proactively. You can do that on our site. You just need the case number usually. So if there's a case number, that means it's basically an ongoing case and your deadline is probably ticking. So you can just take that case number, stick it on the answer, and then file the answer. All right, Zeus, your service is awesome. Thank you, Zeus. Let's see if we have some other questions here from new folks. I was recently sued. This is from Christopher. I was recently sued and used your service to file a response. Great. Yesterday, do I need an attorney for when a hearing is scheduled? Yeah, if there's a hearing that's scheduled, you need to show up, or you need to have an attorney show up for you. You probably need to show up with the attorney. Oftentimes, maybe not. Maybe it's just going to be the attorney. If you don't want to show up at the hearing, or you don't want to hire an attorney, you can try making an offer to settle before the hearing occurs. But usually, if you don't try to settle, the case will go into discovery usually, which is where they request documents from you, and then there'll be a hearing. A hearing is like a trial, but it's just before a judge. And oftentimes that might be the final hearing. Maybe there's a pre-trial conference hearing or something like that. The general line to win in a hearing is to say that the collector can't prove that you owe the debt. But oftentimes the best option is to make a settlement offer. I've never been served and it's past the statute of limitations. Okay, let's see. Let's see the next question here. Rent your plants. Can I file a motion to compel arbitration after I've responded to the debt letter? Yes. So you can file a motion to compel arbitration after you file an answer. If you mean debt letter as in like a non-lawsuit letter, then no. You just want to, there's a big distinction here between like pre-lawsuit stuff and lawsuit stuff. If you've been sued and then you filed an answer, yeah, you can file a motion to compel arbitration so long as your contract has an arbitration clause in it. Question from Solutions. If I am willing to pay the entire amount of the lawsuit that I was not aware of until the court paperwork came back to me, should I be concerned if they're not willing to draft a letter ahead of time? Yeah, I definitely wouldn't pay a settlement without a documented settlement agreement. Yeah, so you can make an offer on SoloSettle. SoloSettle requires the collector to submit a documented settlement agreement. And then you can make a payment securely through our app, protecting your financial information from the collector. If you're doing it on your own, definitely want to get the settlement ready. Josiah, what is the best way to format a settlement offer and send to the law firm suing me? Best way is to just make an offer on SoloSettle. Outside of that, you can try writing it on paper. Most firms are set up to receive a phone call, so they're probably going to want you to phone call you. We've had collectors tell us before that the reason they like phone calls is so that they can lie to the consumer and also bully them on the phone. That's definitely not all collectors. A lot of collectors are totally above board, but just something to keep in mind. That's one of the reasons why SoloSuit is a good option, is you can just make offers securely through the platform. All right, we are now half past. I only have time for one more question here. Let's say Jada, if I settle, can the company retract their motion for summary judgment? Yeah, they wouldn't really be retracting the judgment if they settle, but they would be filing probably a motion to satisfy the judgment, or yeah, motion to satisfy the judgment, which is like a document saying, hey, this person paid off the full debt and the judgment is satisfied. So that's all taken care of. All right, so that's the quick rundown here, folks. Glad we could help. Again, I'm George. I'm rooting for you. SoloSuit's here to help you out. So glad we could help all of you out. Today we've helped people respond to over $1 billion in debt lawsuits. Helped over 200,000 people. All right, just wrapping up, please remember our little disclaimer here. I say this just because of regulations in the space. This webinar is not legal advice. I'm not your attorney. I'm not an attorney at all. SoloSuit's not a law firm. We don't represent you. There's no attorney-client privilege created on this webinar. It's just a webinar. All right, glad we could help you out. Have a good Wednesday and best of luck. Hope you all get the